Boruto's flash forward sequence, the most infamous scene in the entire series. And 7 years later, almost all of our questions have been answered. Who is Boruto fighting? How did Boruto get the scar? What happened to Naruto? All our questions except one. Or maybe two. Anyways, who is stronger? Boruto or Kawaki? Whose karma will reign supreme, Momoshiki or Ishiki? The conflict between Indra and Ashura has returned, and I'm loving every second of it. So Boruto vs Kawaki is upon us, and I think it's time to do a bit of deep diving to see who's actually stronger. Obviously this is going to be all speculation, and we'll see how this fight actually goes down in the next chapter, but here at the TF Anime channel we love to discuss events which will probably never occur, and if you want to join this community then make sure to subscribe. And while you're down there you might as well like the video, as it only takes a second, and if you do hate the video then I guess you can dislike it later. But let's get into how I think this fight will play out. So Boruto just underwent a 3-year time skip in which Boruto was likely training with Sasuke. Kawaki would have likely been training as well, but it is unclear who would have been training him due to his extremely unique abilities. Most likely he did some private one-on-one training with Ada, if you know what I'm saying. But not like that, you dirty-minded freaks. Ada is the only person in the village who possesses Otsutsuki genetics, and likely was able to teach Kawaki a thing or two, and hence how Kawaki has gained the ability to fly. And it seems as though Boruto has also figured this out, as he seemingly appeared above code from the sky. And then obviously Loki making the coldest entrance in manga history. First of all, let's break down Kawaki's new abilities. I have done a video on both of these guys' new time skip powers, so once you're done with this video, maybe go check them out for a little bit more context. But essentially, Kawaki now has access to Ishiki's full dojutsu. I think this moment was slightly overlooked by the community, as I don't really see that much discussion about it, but I guess most people kind of expected this. But what does the power up likely mean for Kawaki? So what makes Kawaki so strong is his access to this dojutsu. It's a completely broken one, and allows Kawaki to not only shrink himself, but other inanimate objects. He also has access to that realm where he's storing Naruto and Hinata, where time does not progress. This gives him an option to escape temporarily if the fight is not going in his favour. But spoiler alert, I don't really think that Kawaki will be needing this in his upcoming fight. So having more triangles actually hints that Kawaki is going to have access to more abilities, likely very similar to what he's used so far. I think that each triangle likely gives him access to a unique technique, and people often believe that shrinking himself and having access to that realm are the only abilities he has access to. But that is not actually the case, or at least it doesn't seem that way. So this dojutsu is a reflection of the Dharma wheel, which likely means that each path or each triangle represents something different, with each ability revolving around a similar concept. For the Dharma wheel, the concept in which it revolves around would be life and the different aspects of it. But it's unclear what this dojutsu revolves around, so leave your thoughts in the comments down below. One of the abilities we saw Kawaki and Ishiki both using was creating the giant chakra cubes. Obviously this can be used to crush his opponents. Then Ishiki uses this spiky chakra rod thing, which also activated his eye, which meant that it was clearly one of his abilities. So if Kawaki was to harness all of this dojutsu's abilities, then it should roughly put him at an equal power level to Ishiki. But that is just from his eye, obviously. Kawaki gained all of Ishiki's experience through the Karma Seal, and hence why he's able to use all of these dojutsu's abilities without training. But the way Kawaki can surpass Ishiki is through ninjutsu, as well as his ninja tech. So Ishiki only had the experience he had gained, and that knowledge did not involve ninjutsu, and obviously Ishiki didn't have some crazy intelligent scientists following him around giving him upgrades all the time. Kawaki obviously knows his shadow clone jutsu, and if he trained enough with it, as well as chakra controlled training, he should be able to create a couple clones in order to catch Boruto off guard. But Boruto is far superior to Kawaki when it comes to devising a plan, as well as chakra control and utilizing ninjutsu. So instead I think that ninja tech is going to give Kawaki a significant advantage. Kawaki, before unlocking the true essence of his karma, used to rely heavily on ninja tech, so he could transform parts of his arm and basically weaponize his entire body. Where Boruto will still need to use a sword, Kawaki can not only shoot chakra rods at Boruto, but he can also use his ninja tech to barrage Boruto with attacks. Not only this, but the ninja tech he already had access to works as defense. The part of the body Boruto is trying to attack can likely just be hardened using his ninja tech, making it much harder for Boruto to deal any damage to Kawaki using his sword. As Kawaki has spent so long using this ninja tech, and being so he still uses it as a primary weapon, as we saw in chapter 81, it should allow him to surpass Ishiki. He has also likely had many more modifications made to him via Amado during this time skip, but it will be interesting to see if Amado is affected by omnipotence, as he should be confused as to why Kawaki has all of the ninja tech he implanted into Boruto. But let's move on to Boruto's abilities. Although before we do that, if you haven't subscribed yet, then what on earth are you waiting for? We are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of September, and we need each and every one of you to click that relatively small red button. But thank you to anyone who has already subscribed. All your guys' support is muchly appreciated. Anyways, Boruto now uses a sword, which I would say is more versatile than Kawaki's ninja tech when it comes to being a weapon. But obviously Kawaki can't literally harden his body using ninja tech, meaning that he's vulnerable to all of Kawaki's attacks, unless he's dodging everything, of course. Boruto being trained by the most proficient Kenjutsu user also helps Boruto's case a little bit more. Essentially, Sasuke was able to overwhelm Kinshiki, who could literally spawn any weapon he wanted. Sasuke, however, did not struggle whatsoever when it came to dealing with each of these different weapons, and we often saw him chopping off the top of the weapons, forcing Kinshiki to spawn a new one. So this fight between Boruto and Kawaki would parallel that fight of Sasuke and Kinshiki, with the fact that Kawaki can make any weapon he wants from his body. We know that this fight is primarily going to use taijutsu, due to them both having ways to counter ninjutsu, but let's not forget, Boruto is an extremely intelligent shinobi. In part 1, especially at the start, we saw that Boruto may not have been able to physically overwhelm his opponents, but instead he'd have to rely on his battle IQ to win the fights. So I think Boruto is going to utilize shadow clones a lot in his fight, just to catch Kawaki off guard. And the main way I think that he's going to utilize this is using the Vanishing Rasengan. I know that this is a very specific attack, but just think about it this way. The Vanishing Rasengan was the only ninjutsu which worked against Momoshiki, and if Kawaki doesn't see these shadow clones making the Rasengan, then it should land perfectly on him. Boruto could obviously use the combination of the compression Rasengan, and also we saw the potential of Boruto's chakra control through Momoshiki, where he created a Rasengan the same size as Naruto's. So if Boruto was to train chakra control a lot more, then he should be able to get to that point where he can create huge Rasengans and then make them vanish. What's more is we can see that Boruto has some massive chakra reserves due to the giant Rasengan that Momoshiki made. So technically speaking, if he was to work on chakra control, he should be able to make tons and tons of shadow clones, which is going to help him a lot. And this is just the start of what Boruto can do using just his intelligence. If we're talking about dojutsu right now, assuming that Boruto doesn't have the jougan, then Kawaki has the far superior dojutsu. So Boruto is going to rely a lot on these shinobi tactics of deception, and that battle between Kawaki's ideologies and Boruto's ideologies on how ninjas should train is going to show itself in this battle. Kawaki on the other hand will rely a lot on just trying to kill Boruto using brute force, and his attacks will likely won't have much thought behind them. But think about it this way, I say it a lot, but it still remains true that Boruto is a prodigy. So 3 years worth of training is likely going to benefit him much more than it would Kawaki. And also currently there isn't really anyone strong in the village to train Kawaki, except Ada, which I discussed earlier, but she can only really help him when it comes to Otsutsuki training. Whereas Sasuke has the potential to be the best sensei in the entire series. Sasuke can not only help Boruto with his chakra control, his ninjutsu, but also his intellect when it comes to fighting, which I've already explained is how Boruto is going to gain the edge over Kawaki. But when it comes to Boruto training for his Otsutsuki genetics, there is also some overlaps with the abilities that Sasuke used to have. So Sasuke also used to be able to use portals to go to different dimensions, so he should be able to help Boruto use this ability from his karma. But things like flying and harnessing Momoshiki's abilities, Sasuke is going to struggle to teach Boruto, and that is likely going to be something that Boruto needs to do on his own. But looking at how quickly Boruto can pick up concepts, he should be able to master his karma a lot more effectively than Kawaki could. But Boruto in this chapter was able to speed blitz Code, who didn't even see him coming, and then Boruto obviously stomped on his face. Code is a threat beyond Jougan, and Boruto did this in his base form. This should show you how Boruto is at least far beyond Jougan and approaching Kawaki's level, as the only person we have seen speed blitz Code in this way would have been Daemon. However, I don't think Daemon would have exceeded the strength of Ishiki, otherwise Amado would have used him to kill Ishiki rather than Naruto and Sasuke. Anyways, who do I think would win this battle? Put simply, I think that Kawaki is going to win. But, and this is a big but, the reason Kawaki is going to win is because if Boruto was to win, then who is going to stop Boruto in the village? This is kind of similar to Jujutsu Kaisen, whereas if Gojo won against Sukuna, then no one's going to rival Gojo, and Gojo will just end the series. So unless Boruto claps Kawaki and then dips, which is unlikely, Boruto kinda has to lose. But there is more reason as to why Boruto loses this battle, other than the fact that it makes sense narratively. So I've done a video speculating that Boruto now has the Jougan, but I'm currently just going to assume that Boruto only has access to that Byakugan that we saw in the true essence of his karma. The Jougan's awakening likely isn't an off-screen one, as it holds so much importance in the progression of the story and Boruto's strength. So without the Jougan, Boruto's abilities likely isn't going to exceed Kawaki's, and let's not forget this isn't a 1v1, Code is also probably going to target Boruto in this case scenario. Not only this, but the entirety of Konoha is going to pull up if Boruto starts to beat Kawaki, and I don't know how Boruto does against the entirety of Konoha, to be totally honest. But at the same time, it does depend on how quickly Kishimoto wants to progress the story. Boruto has the facilities to have already surpassed Kawaki, but that is only if he unlocks the jougan. But this fight could also be very reminiscent of that scene where Sasuke destroys Naruto and Team 7, and then is about to kill them all, but then Orochimaru stops him and then they leave together. So I think in this situation, if that fight was to align, then Boruto could go nuts and Sasuke could come to stop him, and then they go away through a portal maybe. Just imagine how amazing it would be to see Kawaki, Code, and the rest of Konoha looking up to Boruto in utter fear, and Sasuke just coming along and tells Boruto that's enough, and then they just move away. But if we are talking about sheer strength, at the moment Kawaki is probably stronger. Not only is Ishiki a stronger Otsutsuki than Momoshiki, and therefore his karma should give Kawaki the bigger boost, but Boruto also doesn't have access to all of Momoshiki's abilities. And that is what made Momoshiki so strong. Let's not forget that Momoshiki has 2 Rinneguns in both hands, so theoretically Boruto should get access to at least one of them, but I think that Momoshiki's Rinneguns are a discussion for another video. But with that all said, that is it for this discussion. Leave your thoughts on who you think would win out of Boruto and Kawaki in the comments down below, and if you did enjoy this video, then make sure to smash that like button. And if you want to support the channel, then make sure to subscribe, as we are on that road to 1,000 subscribers and we need each and every one of your guys' support. But with that all said, I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.